welcome to the Wired Gaming HD channel. Today's going to be something a little bit different. Me and my friend Ethan here are going to be discussing how to get a job as a young lad.
Yeah, and we're also going to be touching up on the topic of fast food and the reputation that you do get whenever you look for a fast food job or you're in one already. So, just a little background, I would say, on myself. My first job was at Pizza Hut, so definitely fast food. I was only 16 years old, still in high school, and I did get a lot of people asking me why I wasn't focusing on high school as much as I should be, or why I was working at Pizza Hut instead of doing something that other high school kids my age were doing, I guess, which is probably nothing. Their parents were probably paying for their gas and everything, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to pay for my own stuff early on as soon as I could. Like the day after I turned 16, I went and applied for a job at Pizza Hut, and I got it pretty much instantly. And it was a good experience because I got enough money to put gas in my car, enough money to buy any video games I wanted, any kind of music I wanted, movies, anything. I could go out of town with my friends, and I wouldn't have to worry about asking my parents for money, and I would feel good about myself, even though I did work at a fast food, which is one of the first things I wanted to talk about here. You do get quite a bit of hours for being in fast food. I feel like it's one of those jobs where a lot of companies will hire and fire people, and people will leave a lot. So as long as you show that you're dedicated to your job and you actually want the job, you'll start getting a lot more hours, more than most people your age usually get, and that's really good because with more hours comes more money, of course. And then after a while, in my experience, I started getting raises pretty early on. I started getting longer shifts. I started getting to know my managers a little bit better, and they started to give me free food and stuff, basically. Sounds weird, but that's basically what happens. So yeah, that's that also leads up to the promotion area. Sorry about that. The promotions. So I've never really been promoted much. I've been called a shift leader before, I guess, and that was whenever I worked at a movie theater. That was my second job. Wasn't really fast food, but I got promoted to a shift leader. I didn't really get much increase in pay, and I didn't really get to do anything special. I didn't have a key to the actual place or anything because I was still underage, but I got to tell people what to do basically, and that was pretty fun. So that brings me to my next thing. I worked at that movie theater for about 2 to 3 years, and for that amount of time on your next job, if it's a desk job or an internship or anything, it's going to look really good that you worked at, even if it's at Pizza Hut or a sandwich shop, it's going to look really good that you worked there for more than 2 weeks.
Right, it shows that you have motivation and you don't want to just, immediately go into a, $20 an hour paying job.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. And in my experience, my employers never really had to call my previous ones because they saw that I worked there for anywhere from a year to 3 years on average, so they kind of just assumed that I was going to be serious about what I was doing, and I wasn't just going to leave them. Alright, so then the next thing I wanted to talk about was meeting new people and friends. This basically applies to my coworkers. I didn't really meet new customers at Pizza Hut. I mean, I met customers and said hi to them, but for my coworkers and managers, I would meet them and we would get to talking, and we'd talk about video games, music, just random stuff that most people talk about. We'd become really good friends. We'd start hanging out, and that was really cool because it was a way for me to meet new people, because I'm not really too social, I would say. I'm more of a kind of laid back kind of person, but having to work with a lot of people, and if you have a lot of hours, you're working with them quite a bit, it leads to new friendships, and that's pretty cool. And then those new friendships can lead to new things, like them teaching you tips on how to do your job better, which is also another topic I want to talk about with experience. Working in fast food gives you a lot of experience, and some people might say, well, no, it doesn't. You're just making hamburgers or making pizzas, but you're also really learning how to be on time to the job. If you're really serious about it, you're also learning how to balance, say if you go to school, you're learning how to balance school and work together.
How to work in a kitchen if for whatever reason you want to pursue culinary.
Yeah.
You know how to walk in, wash your hands, put on gloves, do all that.
Yeah, that's also an important things you need to do. And even if you're not looking to go into like food for the rest of your life, it's also a really good experience to just start working at an early age. In my opinion, that might not be everybody's opinion, but it helps to branch out, I guess I would say. And then that brings me to the next topic, kind of relating to meeting new people, not really friends, but as Logan knows here, it provides a network to other employers, because a lot of people go to fast food jobs, and you talk to a lot of people. Like, fast food gets a lot of business. There's a lot of people almost every day.
So yeah, I've been working at, in a kitchen at a church since I was 16. That, again, it's fast food. It's not fast food, but it's the restaurant, food service. And we actually do a lot more than people might think. But anyways, the point of the story is I was working there for about a year, and then I got 2 other jobs that were actually jobs that were paying under the table, that didn't even look at age or anything like that. They just knew from being there, volunteering, doing all that I was a hard worker and that they were going to pay me. And I can get upwards of $10 an hour. That's untaxed, nobody knows about it. Like, I don't have to put it on my tax return or anything. There is some cons to that. It can be shady at times. You got to know what you're dealing with. There can be lack of communication, because it's just some guy. But there is some pros. You can. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you to do this, but you one day you could just be like, I'm not going into work, and what are they gonna do? Fire you? That's fine. You're not on no papers.
Well, that's
I mean, I haven't done that, but it's just, something to say.
Yeah, so that's a little bit more of the pros of, working in the fast food and as a teen and everything. So now I'll be talking about a little bit of the cons that you guys might experience if you guys are just wanting to look for a fast food job and are kind of scared of people looking at you as like under them, basically, just because you work at fast food. But the first thing that I would say is, if you're really young, you're around like 16 to 20, maybe even a little bit over 20, the only job that's going to really be that source of income for you is going to be around the fast food area. I'm not saying that that's for everybody, but in my experience, like I said, I got the most hours and everything in that field of working.
Right, you can apply at Target or Walmart, but from my experience, most of the time they're going to look at your schedule, and if you're going to school or if you're doing that, then they'll just automatically assume that you can work like 2 hours a week or something ridiculous, or not necessarily that reason, just that the fact that it's like a huge network and there's like 50 employees. When you're in like food, there's, I don't know, say 10 at the most, so you have less people, more hours to share around, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the battle for hours can be pretty hard, but like I said, a lot of the fast food places, they'll fire people and hire new people almost constantly. So if you show that you're above everybody, well, that sounds kind of dickish, but if you show that you can put in the effort, they'll definitely give you the benefit of the doubt, and you'll start getting to get up there in the hours. But anyways, the cons I was going to talk about were, the number one thing that a lot of you might notice if this is your first fast food job is a couple of the coworkers can be questionable, I guess, in some form of the word. And by questionable, I mean they can act really, really weird. Like at Pizza Hut, I worked with some people that I swore they were on meth or just weird things like that. I mean, they hardly ever lasted too. And because they were just all over the place. They would be itching themselves all the time and acting like they were going crazy. And so that's just one of the things I would say were a con. I mean, it might not happen everywhere, but it happened at Pizza Hut to me. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on about the hours, like, yeah, it's really good to get hours if you're young. You want to get the most money you can to start establishing credit, or start getting a car, or getting an apartment to rent if you're above 18 and everything. but that can also lead to too much hours taking time from other things. And by other things, in my experience, I'm really talking about college, because I'm a sophomore in college right now, and I work at this sub shop called Jersey Mike's, and with the amount of hours that I work, which is it's around 35 to 40 hours a week, and I'm having a hard time balancing between homework and my job title, I guess, and it makes it kind of hard to keep up in school, especially I've always been really focused on school, but I also, being out on my own, being in college, I also need money for my car to pay. I also need money to buy food, buy toiletries, stuff like that. The other thing I wanted to touch a note on is it can be pretty tiring if you're working in fast food. If you work the long shifts, like I've worked a couple, like 8, 9, even like 11-hour shifts, you can get pretty tired. You start feeling, really weak, and then whenever you come home, you just kind of want to lay down. You don't want to do anything. So, your friends will be like, "Hey, we're gonna go and drive around if you want to come," but you're like, "No, I kind of just want to sit here and watch Netflix. I don't really want to do anything." But yeah, so that's about it for that. The other thing I wanted to mention was bad reputation, and this is just kind of a general thing. A lot of people will look at you as like, "Oh, he just works at fast food. Like he's not really going anywhere in life." But like in my case, they look at me and say, or they can look at me and say that I'm not going to go anywhere while I'm in college right now, like working towards a better job, I should say, like a better paying job, not really necessarily like a better looking job, because I don't really care about that. And then a couple of things I was going to say on like how to fix this getting to your head, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The first things I would say were escapes, and my escapes were music and video games. I would come home from work after I had somebody at Pizza Hut, like I said before, ask me why I was working there instead of doing whatever the other high school kids were doing. I would just go home and listen to music and play video games, usually with Logan. Play those BO1 days. Those BO1 days.
Yeah.
But anyway. But yeah, so those were the two most important things, like while I was working. I would come home and do those almost every day, because it would just give me an escape to all the negative feelings I would be having about my job and stuff like that. And the other thing I would say is just kind of just not in a rude way, just kind of get over it. Like, people are going to think what they're going to think, even if you work anywhere else and say you have a tattoo or something. People are going to say like, well, why he has a tattoo, like.
Yeah, there's always going to be shitty coworkers or friends or whatever, but don't go starting a damn food fight over your damn coworker, because that's not going to help anything. Now I'll talk a little bit about my recommendations for finding a job. The first thing you want to do is basically just put yourself out there. You want to go on like snagajob.com, or just search every place that that hires teens. Just apply, even if you're like, damn, I don't want to go make pizzas or do whatever. Just do it, because you might find out you actually like it, or you suck it up, because money is money. Some money is better than no money.
Yeah, and kind of touching on that a little bit, I have also worked at GameStop and the theaters, like I've mentioned, and that was pretty. It's this same like type of thing. You kind of have to be ready to work, no matter where you work.
And then touching more on working anywhere. As I mentioned, I started in a kitchen. Then I got a job for cleaning up evicted homes, which is random. Who the hell would think of that, right? And after that, I got a job of cleaning hoods in restaurants at night, like a graveyard shift. So now I'm, doing all three of those, and, making pretty decent money for my age.
Yeah, and like I've worked at GameStops and movie theaters before, and a lot of people say, hey, like I bet working at those like places are really easy. They're like anybody can do it, but you still have to do a lot of work there too. Like I still had to vacuum the whole store at GameStop, even the walk-in closet, even though mine was pretty big. But I also had to dust the shelves. I also had to reorganize games. Like anywhere you work, if this is what's like making you question or not if you should work at a fast food place. Anywhere you work is gonna work you. I mean, obviously, and if they don't, then you got lucky. But also, it also helps to be busy, because then your shift will go over a lot quicker.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that just about sums it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this new form of content we are trying to produce.
We have quite a few more topics to talk about, so if you guys want to hear about them, we can go ahead and do that too. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next videos.